And hello, movie lovers, and welcome to the show. So today I have my good friend Zoe from the Backlook Cinema podcast. We're going to be reviewing Rookie of the Year. You guys chose this movie for us to review. I gave you guys a list of movies last month to review, and you guys chose this one. So you guys had a chance to vote that in on our YouTube page and stuff. So I just want to say thank you for that. So let's welcome Zoe to the show, and let's do this, guys. And hey, Zoe, welcome back, man. It's been a while. Last time we did a review was for what was that gang movie that we did? I know that.
Oh, it was. It was. Hold on, not the Warriors. That's what it's
Warriors.
called.
Yeah, we ended up doing the Warriors together. I got a bunch of people to vote for this particular movie on my YouTube channel and stuff like that. So this one actually won the vote because I wanted to do something sports related or whatever. So now we're doing it. So my question for you though, Zoe, is so when you look at this film nostalgically, where do you hold Rookie of the Year in your heart, and what would you give it?
Actually, a 0 because I've never heard. Well, I've heard of it, but I've never watched it.
Okay,
like I knew it was. I knew it was a thing, but I never watched it, and it wasn't something that I would. I probably wouldn't have been interested in this in 1993.
True. Unless it's me, who it was like a young 9-year-old kid that absolutely loved baseball. King Griffey Jr., Barry Bonds. I was huge into baseball, even even now, because I'm also a Red Sox fan. But still, Wayne's perspective. This one brings me back memories. Same here, Wayne. Same here. It's good having you in the live chat, and thank you so much for always commenting on all the videos and stuff like that and being a huge supporter of the channel. I do appreciate that. But yeah, for me, it holds a special place for my heart. I remember my mom and I going to the movie theater, watching this movie for the very first time, and I laughed my butt off at it. I would do insults on the baseball field because I was in Little League. I would actually do pitcher's got a big butt. I would actually be the annoying person on the baseline and stuff like that too. This movie is probably the most quotable movie as far as my childhood goes, as far as a sports movie goes, even though I loved The Sandlot is also one of my other favorite baseball movies as well. So, with this movie, nostalgically, younger me is like, oh yeah, this is going to be a 9.9 off the scale of me loving this movie. So, that's how I feel about it nostalgically. But now that we've talked about this nostalgically, we're going to strip that away. And now we're going to do a modern day rating of how we feel about it as adults. But in order to do that, we have to go on ahead and talk about this scene by scene. So now we're going to do a scene by scene breakdown. So this is what I have to say about that. Welcome back to the show where childhood dreams meet major league nonsense. Today we're talking about Rookie of the Year, the only movie where breaking your arm doesn't send you to the hospital and it sends you straight to the Chicago Cubs. That's right. The movie gives us a legendary insults, 100 miles per hour fastballs, and a 12-year-old striking out actual pros like it's a Little League. So grab your Cracker Jacks, tighten the cast, and get ready because today we're stepping up to the plate with Rookie of the Year. So, scene 1. Henry Rodengarner is an unskilled Little leaguer who dreams of playing in the major leagues. He breaks his arm catching a fly ball. When the doctor removes the cast, he discovers Henry's tendons have healed a little too tight, enabling Henry to throw a ball with incredible force. So, at the very beginning of this, we actually see that Henry just sucks at baseball. You have this other kid who sneezes and has a bad allergy to dust and things like that too. And also too, he also makes a deal with his mom. If he doesn't play, he has to do the laundry when he gets home. So, and then also like the back and forth with all his friends and everything too. But it just makes me laugh that you have this other little kid that's out there in the field, and the poor kid's suffering with allergies, and he's and basically just sneezing all over the place. And then Henry's finally gets a chance to prove himself, and then he winds up missing the baseball. catching the baseball, and the hat goes over his eyes and he can't see anything. But what do you think of the opening scenes?
They were charming. I kind of liked it. I liked the young actor Thomas Ian Nichols or Nicholson or whatever his name is.
Mhm.
So I thought the kids were surprisingly well. One of the things that I noticed in the opening credits when they were getting the stadium and everything was ready, they were basically showing some B-roll of like baseball life, and they were showing all of the paraphernalia and the merchandise, and I saw troll merchandise, trolls in
Mhm.
like the Cub jerseys. I was like, trolls. But yeah, I thought that like all of the young actors were charming and believable. I liked his mom. They felt like they had a real relationship, so they were really getting the story going at a pretty good. They had a pretty good start to this movie.
Definitely not bad for a 90-minute movie, which is perfect for someone like me who has ADHD and is able to keep his attention on something. So that's another thing I have to say. And then Wayne says, I can't even catch a fly ball. But, it's just something special about the 90s when you look at this movie. You have the Trolls nostalgia. Not only do you have the Trolls nostalgia, but you also have the old baseball players in this movie as well, making small cameo appearances. So it has a very 90-ish kind of feel to it. And then you have this other thing where, Henry winds up falling down, was tripping over this one ball that's already in, what I'm saying, that's already on the ground. He goes on ahead and he ends up falling in his arm. And the whole entire time he has to wear this cast the whole entire time during the summer. And it was like, bye, Henry. Hi, Henry. Just teasing him the whole entire time. And then he finally gets the cast removed. And then you have the doctor who tells him to move his arm slowly. And then he winds up breaking the poor doctor's nose. And he says, funky butt loving.
Yeah, that's definitely a quotable moment. The funny thing about him getting his cast, like first, like him tripping on a baseball, and it's like it was very dramatic, and it was at the same time a very trippy type of fall because, like, you're running towards the ball, they show you the ball on the ground, so they're telegraphing that he's going to fall, and you figure that, like, you usually when you're running, if there's a ball on the ground, you're more likely to kick the ball. And he's just unlucky enough to step directly on the ball to roll from under him. And then he launches them into the air and he lands squarely on his side where, he damages most of his shoulder so bad that it has to be in a cast for like 4 months. I remember I had an injury like that, but I was doing something worse. So much dumber than playing baseball. Anyway, so luckily he didn't break any bones, but he had to put his arm in a cast. But the crazy thing about it is that the way the cast is fashioned is like he's holding his hand up in the air as though he were saying hi, or as though he was trying to give somebody a high five. So that's why everybody was saying hi and bye to him, teasing him, because that's how his hand was frozen in that gesture. So everywhere he went, it's like when he sits in the car, he has to have his hand stick out in the car, and his hand is sticking out and like waving to people because that's the way the cast is, and that was just funny. And so that is like they didn't spend too much time in the movie on that aspect of it. It's like I thought that they were going to spend a significant amount of time because they said like 4 months, and I thought, or are they going to spend like 20 minutes or 25 minutes of doing gags with his arm in a sling? And they don't. They kind of go
No, they
past
only do
that.
like one small gag and a
Right,
montage of it, and
right,
that's
right.
it, and they're done.
Right, right.
4
And
months
I
was easy
appreciated
for
that.
us than it was for Henry.
Right, right. I really appreciate that they kind of go through that quickly because, like, that's not the main thrust of the story of the film. That's just how he got that way, and then they kind of continue with the story, and I really like that.
Me too, because if, let's say, for instance, they decide to remake this movie, right? We would get the whole entire breakdown, no pun intended,
Right,
of those 4 month periods where it'll be oversaturated with nothing but those jokes, and it'll be overburdened to the fact of like, okay, I get it. It's supposed to be funny, but you're hitting us over the head too many times with the same joke repeatedly. But with them
Right.
doing it this way, I think it was smart, something that needed to be done in just a small gesture, and that's it. And we move along, we get up to the plot and the meat and potatoes of this movie.
Right.
Stuff. And you don't need to slow this movie down. This is for kids. So if they slowed it down to a 2.5 hour movie, there's no way that your attention will be even close to even wanting to be paying attention to it. You've checked out about 15, 20 minutes out.
Right. Right. And I think them knowing that it was targeted to children, they're not going to make a 2-hour movie, at least not in the 1990s. They're going to try to keep it economic, right?
Exactly, because they already know the parents probably have to suffer through this movie, so they want their parents in and out as fast as possible, though, too, because it's only a 90-minute movie.
Right,
but,
right.
Wayne's perspective says, now I'm wondering if Henry would have caught that ball had he not tripped. Okay, if he had not tripped, then we wouldn't have a movie. But at the same time, though, you're right. I think he would have caught the ball, though. But if he didn't catch the ball, if he did catch the ball and everything, it would be the end of the movie, the whole entire thing. But I do like that whole entire perspective of what happened if Henry would have caught the ball, and it would change everything.
Right. Even though they try to paint him as being like a poor outfielder, they don't really spend a lot of time with him like actually playing with the Little League game. So like if they had done a montage of him being terrible, then we would have had a better idea of how good or how bad he was.
He's just clumsy. Henry is just clumsy.
Right. But even if you fast forward like to the end of the film, he apparently has some knowledge of baseball. Like he has some skill. So he's not a completely terrible player because of what we find out at the end of the film, but I don't want to jump too far ahead.
Right.
I just want to make the point that he doesn't really seem that bad of a player. Like you said, he's just clumsy.
I just think he's just a clumsy player that just has bad luck because finally he gets a chance to prove himself. And then when the kid winds up finally hitting the baseball towards him, the hat goes over his face, and then he's over there scrambling for the ball. And then next thing you know, he throws it to someone else or throws it out in the parking lot. Yeah. So it's just bad luck with Henry. It's not that he's a bad player. Also, it's just the fact that he's clumsy.
Also, doesn't really have sense enough to pull his hat up so that he can see.
I was one of those kids, though. In Little League, though, man, I'll be real with you. In the heat of the moment, you're not thinking about the hat. You're thinking about, I need to go ahead and get this guy out before he scores.
Right.
And I'll worry about my hat once I wind up throwing the ball.
Right.
But little do you know, you don't know where you're throwing to in that moment. So in my Little League head, I'm thinking I need to get this ball over here and get this person out as fast as I can, and I'll worry about the ball later. But just as Henry is also doing the same thing too. So that's how I imagined it to be like that. But yeah.
Right.
So now we actually have Henry and his friends over at Wrigley Field during a Chicago Cubs game. Henry's friends gets a home run ball hit by the visiting Montreal Expos. Observing the Wrigley Field tradition of throwing the ball back to the field following an opposing home run, Henry throws it hard that it reaches home plate. And then template convert away on the fly. Desperate to save the club from declining attendance, General Manager Larry Fisher looks to recruit Henry. Manager Sal Matella visits Henry at home with a radar gun and discovers that Henry can pitch at over template convert. For the remainder of the season, Henry juggles the culture shock of playing them in the major leagues alongside one of his heroes, an aging pitcher, Chet Rocket Stedman. And socializing, Henry's mother, Mary, tries to keep him grounded while resisting attempts by her boyfriend, Jack, and Fisher to exploit him. So let's just talk about this. I think Jack is the ball bag here. The whole
Jack is what?
Jack is the ball bag.
The ball bag. I don't know what that means.
Like he's a douchebag.
Oh, okay. I had not considered that.
Because here's the thing. Jack buys his mom Mary an expensive necklace at the very start of this movie. We're introduced to Jack. He's very showy, and he doesn't really care about Henry at all. All he cares about is Mary, and that's it.
Right.
And as soon as he sees Henry can actually throw, that's when he starts caring about him. And he doesn't really care about him. He's just trying to make money off the kid, and that's it.
Yeah.
But
he just sees Henry as a monetary gain or something like that.
Exactly.
And but I can understand him not paying too much attention. Not like he doesn't care. It's more like Henry doesn't like him anyway, because it's like he's making moves on his mom, and he thinks that the dude is moving too fast on his mom, and so he's not really showing any. He's not really giving any chance for, I don't know, I guess the boyfriend to prove himself, I guess. So and at that, and he's not doing the dude is not doing his level best to try to win the kid over at the same time.
No, he's not.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a misconnection almost. So he's just like trying to concentrate on wooing his mom, and they've only been out on a few dates. So I can understand. Well, they've been out for 3 weeks, which is not a long time. So I can understand that relationship between the dude and the kid not having, to gel, I guess. But at the same
that connection of like a bonding between boyfriend and between the mother's boyfriend and him, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of tricky to develop that bond. Either the child is going to like you instantly, or it might take some time to win the child over, or maybe it's a situation where the kid might never like him, right? So it's kind of tricky, because I didn't immediately see him as a bad guy. Maybe not necessarily a passionate dude, but not necessarily the bad guy.
Right. I can understand that from the very start of it, because this is your first time seeing it. So with me knowing the outcome of it and stuff,
right,
I'm seeing red flags all over the place.
Right,
on the field.
I think he has more of like a descending character arc, where he comes off as like a regular dude, like in the beginning of the film. But then when he sees the potential of making a lot of money with the kid, then he kind of descends maybe a little bit. But it's in the beginning, like when he signs the kid, even though he's doing it for himself, is at the same time he's kind of looking out for the kid. It's like, this is something that the kid always wanted. This is something where he seeks the mother's permission to see if they could, sign him to the ball club. But then later on in the movie, he makes a terrible turn and makes a bad decision. And that's when he kind of descends into madness.
But
I think at that point, that's when he truly becomes the villain.
Exactly. I could definitely see that. And we'll talk about that more in a few minutes though, too, because there's a lot I want to get into on that part. But then you have this thing at Wrigley Field where, the opposing team, you're not supposed to catch the opposing team's ball. You're supposed to throw it back.
Right.
So, and Boston, I'm sure it's the same way and stuff like that too, where you don't catch the opposing team's ball. You're going to throw it back. And I like how everybody's looking at each other. All his friends goes, this is on cable. Everyone's watching. I don't want to throw it back. And he goes, here, Henry, you throw it back. Okay. He throws it back, and it just beats right down the line, and everybody is shocked. Then I like how this standstill moment of the guy gets the person out, and he looks back over at Henry, and everybody is still shell-shocked over it. Then you have one of the fans that are pissed off at Henry because the guy's like up in age. And he says, are you trying to show me out, Henry?
Yeah.
And he goes, I want that arm. And next thing you know,
what's funny is that when I watched the film, I felt initially that was like a kind of unrealistic response. Like, who would get mad at a kid for throwing the baseball back and being really good at it? It's not like, you had a chance to catch
I don't
the ball.
know. I've seen some brutal baseball fans.
Yeah. Here's what made me change my mind. I was just thinking about it was a moment that went viral maybe last week or 2 weeks ago, where this kid was getting an autograph hat, and some rich dude went down and grabbed the hat before the kid could get it. This dude was a millionaire. He grabbed this baseball
I've seen that video.
And then the second thing that made me think about it was this dude that had gotten a home run ball and he was giving it to his son. And then this lady shows up demanding the ball back because the ball landed in front of her, or she claimed it landed near her. But because she was slow, she didn't get the baseball. And that's not the way baseball works. It's like whoever gets the ball first. So if you didn't outright catch the ball and nobody actually snatched it out of your possession, then you don't have the ball. But
Exactly.
she's like,
it just landed by your feet, and it's
right,
not
right,
your
right.
the
Landing near
person.
you is right. It doesn't count. So she went and demanded the baseball from this dude and his son. So because he didn't want to make a scene and he didn't want to make a big thing of it, he just gave her the ball, which is crazy. And so now when I look back at the moment in the movie when the dude is mad at the kid for being able to throw a baseball, I was like, I guess that tracks.
But you know, I just love that scene. And then after that, you have they're playing baseball outside. Mary and Jack shows back up from grocery shopping. His friends are wearing one of those strainer on one of their heads, so that way they don't get knocked out by Henry's fastball.
Right, right, right.
You have the couch cushion to actually prevent any kind of injury, too. And he's like, "Hey, Mom, watch this." He winds up throwing the ball, and his friend just jumps up. He goes, "You know what, Henry? You play for the Cubs." And that's when Jack sees dollar signs and just drops the grocery bag. And he gets off the phone with the manager of the Cubs. And, you know, he's like, and Mary's like, "I don't know if this is good." He goes, "This is great. This is fantastic. This is everything that we could possibly want for Henry," which means what he means by we, he means him. But
right.
But he goes, "This is everything we possibly want." Because I think it's a good thing. Next thing you know, you have the coach coming in, has a radar gun. He knocks on the door. He goes, "Hi, I'm looking for Henry Rollingardner." He goes, "I'm Henry." He goes, "No, is your father home?" He goes, "No, I'm Henry."
Right.
So, and he's the coach is over there like, "Okay, I was not expecting a kid, but let's see what you have." And he's just throwing the ball speed, and basically the coach also has the speed gun, and he's also looking at it. And the other manager who's supposed to be over everything, all the finances and stuff, is like, "Hey, how do you feel about playing for the Cubs?" He goes, "Oh yeah, most definitely, but I gotta ask my mom first."
Right.
And he goes, "Oh yeah, he's gonna ask his mom first." Okay. But I thought this scene was okay. I laughed about it, but because of the fact that he has to ask permission from his mom. But at the same time, though, it's just showing you how much Jack is slowly getting into it with this other guy. That he'll sign Henry to just about anything, just to try and get something out of it.
Yeah. He'll sign him to the team. Then he took over as the kid's manager, and then later on in the movie starts signing these endorsement deals, which is good for the kid and the family, because that's how a lot of players make the bulk of their wealth, is through these endorsement deals. And a lot of times those deals last beyond their athletic career. So especially depending on how good the campaign is, right? Or how much the product can juice out of this relationship that they have with the athlete. It could go on well past their retirement.
Exactly. And, you know, I think it's a good thing for Henry to have those endorsements and stuff. But you would think that Mary would be alongside Jack to help to manage this, because he is the boy's mother and Jack is just the boyfriend. So you would think that she would have more control over this and not Jack.
Right. Basically, the only control she has is to approve it or disapprove of it. So she has that measure to say yes or no, because you know he can't do anything without her signature. I just think that the movie didn't like display that. It's like her only concern is to make sure that her son is having a good time and is okay. So she's trusts Jack enough to have the boy's best interests at heart and not to screw them over. That's why it's like, if he brings something over, she's basically assuming that it's going to be good for the child. because from what she has seen throughout most of the movie, Jack is even. I mean, like, sure, Jack is benefiting from all of these product endorsements and things like that, but it's also benefiting, like, her whole family. So she's not overly concerned, like, because, like, if you screw the kid over, you're screwing yourself over as well, right?
Right, but you're also screwing Mary over.
Yeah, and you're screwing Mary over. But I don't think she's all that thinking about herself, because it's like you don't see her talking about how much money that they're going to make, or she doesn't quit her job because she's still working at her job. Like, throughout the whole movie, she's not like going crazy over fame or whatever. She's solely concerned over her child's welfare, and she's basically trusting Jack, and she's trusting the Cubs and the coaches and everything with bringing up her child so that he's okay.
Right, that's all she wants to do is just support her son and everything and everything he wants to do and stuff. So she's not really concerned in fact for the finance situations or anything like that. It's just the overall safety and understanding for her son and supporting her son.
Right.
And Wayne's perspective says, was Jack's connection to the Cubs leadership ever established? No, it was not really established, but here's the thing. When you have the other guy that I was talking about, when you actually have Sal coming in, and he's over there talking and whispering over to Jack aside from Mary, that actually shows you how sneaky he is to try and lie and connive and get in over Mary and Henry to just side with Jack, because think of like this. He's another dude, so he's not going to want to talk to Mary. He wants to talk to another man to go over the finances for Henry and stuff.
Yeah, I think at the beginning of the movie, you had mentioned that it was Jack that had called the what do you call it? They call them managers in baseball.
Yeah, he's called Sal. Yeah.
So I'm thinking that that they know each other, either from a previous relationship, or maybe one was a client of the other or something like that. So I think that even though they didn't establish it, it's not like anybody can just call a baseball manager to look at anybody. It's like, I got somebody you need to look at. It's like he's not going to take time out of his day.
As if he was like a scout for the Chicago Cubs.
Right. So I'm believing that Jack and the manager, they know each other. And that they're probably friends. I don't think that Jack is, at least initially, familiar with the upper leadership. I think that came later in the movie.
See, for me, I thought it was like Jack got in touch with somebody within the Cubs itself.
Right.
And got into the higher ups and say, hey, look, you need to check out Henry. That's just me thinking like he just made a call and did it that way without no connection to the Cubs at all.
Right.
So that's just me thinking that though too.
Right.
But let's see here. But what did you think of Gary Busey as Rocket though?
You know what's funny is that a lot of the roles that I see Gary Busey in, he's like kind of wilding out. And I thought that he would be that way in this movie too, but he wasn't. He was a regular person. He was
except when he tries to go deep talking to Henry when he goes out over there. Remember?
Yeah.
That's like the only time when we get a very Gary Busey-esque kind of quote.
Right, but it's still not completely wild, right?
It's not top tier.
It's a very subdued, very normal, I guess, portrayal of a human being by Gary Busey.
But I like him. I like Gary Busey as Chet. I think he does a really, really good job of this seasoned player that everybody looked up to, and now he's on the outs and he's in a slump.
Right.
And now Henry's coming in to basically take over Chet's position.
Right.
Because they're not producing anything. Even in the stands, you can tell that the Cubs are not doing so great.
Right.
At all.
Right. They're not, and they haven't been for a long time. And I liked how it felt really good to see that resentment that Chet had towards the rookie. Right. He didn't want to sign the baseball at first. But then he claims that he didn't sign anything. And then he didn't want to train the kid because they already had a pitching coach, and he didn't want to. He didn't want to take on that role. But it's like, the kid listens to you. He looks up to you. You should go ahead and you should be the coach. You should teach him how to throw a pitch. Because one of the things that had struck me was that after he signed a contract, they put him in the game right away. It's like they're just going to let him play without practice or anything. He's not going to, because it's like it's more.
Like, you know what? We already seen enough of him playing whenever he just threw the ball down the center, and that was it. We don't.
Right. The thing is that he didn't practice with the team, and the other thing is that he didn't. They don't know if he can pitch, because part of pitching is aiming. You have to throw the ball in a very particular slot, and then you got to know how to throw different types of pitches. Like, you can't just
throw the ball and that's it.
Yeah, you can't just throw the ball one kind of way. It's like the only thing you can throw is a fastball. That will make you a very bad pitcher. So you have to throw other types of other styles of throwing the ball. So that was the other thing. And then when he got on the field and he started throwing, what do you call them? What do you call
doing a change up, a curveball, or
no, not that. No. It's like when you walk a person.
Oh yeah, when you hit. Okay. Basically, you're only allowed so many hits, and then the player winds up walking the base.
Well, you either hit a person, you either hit the batter, or
you get a ball.
You don't throw the ball in the right space.
Right, it's called ball. Ball one, ball two, ball three, and ball four.
So he's throwing a bunch of balls, right? And he's not, what you call it, because he can't aim. He doesn't know how to aim the ball. And he was also
outside of his pocket, though, too. He was also outside the square.
Right. So that's something that they could have, found out in practice. And instead, they're finding out in front of millions and millions of people, which
is even more embarrassing.
Right. Because they came specifically to see him pitch, because they heard this rumor about a kid playing baseball. So that's what they wanted to see. So they thrust him in front of an audience without even knowing if he could aim the ball, so that he's throwing strikes instead of balls.
But, and then you also had the whole entire deal of, even at the press conference, they're like, well, we don't believe that you can actually throw. Can you throw? He goes, yeah, I can throw. Watch. And then the manager's like, no, if you want to see him throw, you guys need to go on ahead and check him out tomorrow, where he's going to be in the game.
Right.
And then even during the locker room and everything too, that's also very dangerous too. Right. I mean, not dangerous, but very fish out of water kind of thing, because he goes over to the Cubs gate, and I like how this little man's it's like a Wizard of Oz scene.
Right. It was. It's like I wanted to check and see if that was the actual actor that was in the Wizard of Oz, because that was a direct homage to the Wizard of Oz. So that was kind of
because
funny.
The sea opens up and he goes, hey, I'm Henry Rowland. We want to go on ahead and get inside Wrigley Field. I'm sorry, but you cannot come in here. And he goes, I'm Henry Rowland. Well, why didn't you say so? Come on in.
Yeah, he said that's a horse of a different color, and that's exactly what they said in the Wizard of Oz.
Come on, son. Let me take you back here. He goes, but you have to say bye to your friends. Say bye. Bye. And then
Right.
Then he walks in and they're taking showers. These guys are taking showers together and stuff like that too, because because he's in the locker room, and I like how he's all looking up at everybody, and he finally looks at Chet, goes, Chet, Rocket, will you sign my ball? And he's pissed. He doesn't want the kid to be there at all, which I don't blame him.
Right, rightly so. Here, I don't think any of them want the kid to be there, but him most of all, because it's not so much as the kid is replacing him, it's the kid's presence reminds him that his time is basically up. Right.
But I do like that the moment though, once he steps up on the field, like you said, he's outside the box. He can't throw a perfect ball or anything like that. It just shows how imperfect this franchise is for the Cubs, and how terrible that they're even doing even with Henry right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Henry's first appearance is a relief appearance against the New York Mets, where his first pitch gives up a home run to the Mets. Arrogant slugger Hedo and then throws a wild pitch, hits a batter, yet still managed to get his first save. Henry improves his control under Simmons' tutoring and records his second consecutive save against the San Francisco Giants and his first MLB strikeout. So I like how, they're like, well, you need to go ahead, have a chat with him, Chet. And so, because what do you want me to say? Well, you've been working with him.
Yeah. He said, you've been working with him. Go ahead and say something. And then he just says some gibberish, and the boy could barely. He's like, what did he say? You got to find a what for or something like that.
Right.
And the kid is like, what? And he's like, you got to find that inside. He tries to explain it, and then when he's walking back to where the players are, he doesn't know what he said. And then when he gets to the manager asks him, what did you say? And he says, you wouldn't understand, right? Because he doesn't understand. But somehow whatever he said was inspiring to the kid, and he was able to take that to heart, because the kid didn't understand, but he was able to pitch better after that.
Right, because remember, he goes, what the heck did he say? And even everybody is saying that, though, as well. But let's see. Wayne's perspective says, oh, wow, that's a great point. Henry joining the team was an indirect confirmation to Chet that his tenure was coming to an end. Yep. So you have this young kid that's trying to replace Chet. And so therefore, you're pissed off because this young kid that's 12 years old playing in the major leagues when he should be in the little leagues trying to work himself up. He just says it's kind of like that Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory where you have a golden ticket and he skipped all that just to get to the Cubs.
Right. I think that, as an organization, the Cubs would have been better to at least have a practice with the kid before they bragged about how he was the next best thing, and to encourage everybody to come to a game to see him play. Like, let's test him out first. Like, nobody needed to know. Right. Nobody needed to know. They didn't have to do a press conference. They didn't have to do an introductory event where they introduced this new player to the world. They didn't have to do any of that. All of that was premature.
Exactly. Everything was just rushed to get him onto the field, and that was it.
Right.
But I do like John Candy as the announcer. I think that he's the best thing in this movie that actually works and clicks. And of course, you want to have Uncle Buck, who was in every single John Hughes movie that took place in Chicago. What better person to have than have John Candy, who represents Chicago, and have him represent the Chicago Cubs?
Right. He was really, it was nice to see him. To me, it felt like an understated performance by John Kerry. Like, he's not as crazy in this particular performance, and it felt more like a cameo than a guest role. But it was just nice seeing him in that role. It's not like he was crazy like in another baseball movie, Brewster's Millions. He was really out there.
He was really a great announcer. I really loved him in this. And like you said, he was not over the top or anything like we've seen him in other movies. He was just being an announcer guy, and he does a perfect job at being the voice for the Chicago Cubs.
Right. I also like Dan Hedaya as the evil corporate minion. He's the nephew of the owner of the team.
Yep.
And he has like a vice. It seems like a vice president position. He's the one that agreed to sign Henry to the team and whatnot. But he's doing a lot of behind the scenes machinations.
Because
it's like I just kind of like seeing him in movies. He's just he's always playing just a devious type of person.
He definitely is, and this guy's a sleazeball.
Yeah.
And he's also probably going to be the next person that was going to take over the Cubs if his dad passed away or anything, and was going to get passed on to him. But he's like, you know what? I'm going to undercut everybody, and I'm going to be out for myself, and I'll just go on ahead and act like I'm the one who's doing the scouting and everything for him.
Right.
But the quote that I want to mention that we were talking about with Chet was, "What are you doing here, Henry?" "Well, what am I supposed to do?" "Chet, from you have to." Because, well, what are you saying? "They have to." "Are you speaking English?" They have to. It's what you use when you're afraid. Okay. Okay, you got it? Listen to me. Everybody is in a half win and half lose. Lose half is afraid. The winning half is fearless. Fearless, right. The have to is inside. It's where you live, where the fear lives. Oh, okay. Can you start over again? Let's play ball. They have to. Let's see it. They have to? What the heck was he talking about? What the heck was he talking about?
You know, what's funny is I almost understand what he meant by you have to have the have to. Like, but it's like it would have been great if he had found a way to make that work. But it is like even he didn't know what he was saying. It was like, because I feel like he was trying to say something like, it has to be more than you just having a desire to play baseball. It has to be in a place where you have to do it. And that's how you become a winner, because you have to do it. And it's funny because I'm seeing a lot of parallels between this movie and a movie that I saw over the weekend called Him, where you have this player training his replacement. and
it's not in a horrifying kind of way. It's just
right. Yeah, exactly. It was in a horrifying kind of way. But in the case of the movie Him, it was the player training his replacement and not being particularly nice about it.
But you know what though? I also like how after that boosts up his confidence after Chet talks to him. And then also too, you also have then after that you also have him having a horrible day, and then he winds up getting a double play out of it, and he winds up getting the guy out, and he goes, "Oh God, no!" And he winds up keeping his job because he ended up doing his job, even though he did it sloppy this go
around. Right. He was doing a sloppy job, but he was showing promise, right? And he had some guile about him. But at the same time, in that first play, it was really the other players that kind of saved the day. But at the same time, it was because he was able to pitch it in such a way that it wasn't a home run. So I guess the batter kind of like punted the ball, or he didn't hit the ball far enough where somebody couldn't reach it, and they was able to get I think it was a double play.
Yeah, it was a double play.
Yeah, so they was able to literally grab victory out of the jaws of defeat.
So now we actually have continuing to impress. Henry bats for the first time in a road game against the Los Angeles Dodgers. He frustrated the pitcher with his small stature and tiny strike zone to the point that he walks Henry on 4 straight high pitches. He further taunts the pitcher at first and second base, and the pitcher retaliates by hitting the next batter. But Henry and the next batter managed to both score a run despite nearly passing each other on the base paths. So we actually have a lot going on before that. We actually have Daniel Stern's character comes into play as well with this, and he's trying to teach the kid about eating on an airplane. He goes, "See this? This is my food here. You take it with you. You put it on ice, and guess what? You have breakfast the next day." And then you also have Chet, who's actually having this nice bonding moment with Henry, which is really nice. Now the team has actually warmed up to him a little bit, and I like this whole entire thing. Daniel Stern was hilarious, and he's also the director for this movie as well. So I thought that was, and I never knew that up until I watched it. That he was also the director for this movie.
Right. For me, he wasn't as funny. He was more off-putting and annoying than funny, right? He was like, the way he was shoving seeds in his mouth. It did strike me as funny. It struck me as how's it off-putting, really. It's like somebody's burping in your face all the time or something like that. It was
way too much chewing tobacco.
Yeah. It's too much. Everything that he did was too much. And it's funny, right? Because I didn't like, he looked familiar to me, but I couldn't remember where I saw him from. And now that I'm looking at his photo on IMDb, I was like, oh, that's the guy from Home Alone, right? Yep.
That's Harry.
I think that's his why name. He looked familiar. Yeah. So there were some genuine parts where he was funny, But most of the parts where I saw him, he was just, it was like looking at somebody who's had a booger hanging out of their nose, just really.
Even when he's in the batting cage trying to bat, and the ball keeps on hitting upside the head.
Yeah, yeah.
Then he also gets trapped in between the adjoining rooms between Henry and him, and his arm is also stuck up like Henry's was.
Yeah,
whenever he broke his arm. And at first I was like, are they going to do this bit where now his arm is stuck and then he has some type of ability or something? That's what I was.
Right.
But I'm glad it was just a bit where he's just stiff, and it just shows how bad this manager is and this team manager, because he's not there for anything other than to entertain. And he's just like this over the top manager that just loves playing baseball and shoving tobacco in his mouth.
I think that he probably where he's trapped in between the two hotel rooms. That's probably one of the funniest bits that he does. But like when he was trapped in the batting cage, at that point he was just annoying.
But then he gets locked in like we'll get to that a little later, but then we actually have Henry batting for the first time in a road game. And then he's afraid. And also Chick goes, are you really going to put him in this? He goes, well, the boy's got to grow up sometime. He has to learn. And, he also, another thing too, is Henry also doesn't know where to sit at the very start of this. He's just sitting down and he goes, look, all the pitchers are this way. So now he has to pitch and bat, and he doesn't even know how to bat.
Right.
At all either. And
that's not why they brought him on the team. And I'm thinking, if that's not why you brought him on the team, why would you have him do that? Because it's like he's not going to hit a major league pitcher. And I like how they had basically portrayed that, where the pitcher is having a hard time with pitching to such a small batter. Like, this dude is diminutive, it's a child. So how do you pitch correctly to a child? And he had a hard time doing that. So he kept throwing a bunch of balls, right? Because he was like Henry, throwing a bunch of balls, and he ended up walking Henry. But they didn't show any more clips of him batting. Being at bat.
No, that was it. That was only part of it to just get that part over the way for a bit, probably. But at the same time, it's like, you know what? Let's torment the kid. This is his first outing. Let's go ahead and give him a bat and see what he can do. Yeah,
it's like more likely it would have just been a bunch of strikes against the kid.
Or a bunch of balls, and all they would have to do is just walk him the whole entire time.
Right.
But I like how he's over there tormenting the pitcher. Pitcher's got a big butt. Hey, pitcher, I don't need another snitcher. I just thought that those lines were very funny back when I was a kid. And then also, too, now I'm laughing even harder now as an adult, because that just reminded me of myself as a young kid doing this and trying to distract other people. And then he winds up sliding onto second base because of this. And Chet and everybody wants to kill him for what he's doing. And finally, what winds up happening is you actually have that one part where the other player is also trying to run in at the same time as Henry. He goes, hurry up, Henry, move your legs. Because this is as fast as I can go.
Yeah. That, I'm glad that they showed that, as a kid, he's not going to be able to run as fast as Major League Baseball player.
But then this is also where we have the Pepsi deal happen.
Yeah.
He goes, and then you have Jack, who's actually rooting for this to happen. He's like, come on, Henry, if you win this, we get the Pepsi contract. And they win it.
Pepsi was looking at him to make sure that he was a winner.
Right. And then this is where Jack is like, come on, Henry, you can do it. And he winds up winning, and then he gets the Pepsi deal. And then he signs the Pepsi deal. Jack signs it, and he's getting endorsements from it. And then after that, you have this whole entire thing at school where you have the girls and also his best friends talking as well amongst each other. and they don't know what to say. And he goes, "Hey, have you heard about this one kid? He got a eraser stuck up his nose."
Right, right, right.
Let's see here. Wayne's perspective says the Pepsi commercials at the time was funny. However, that part of the story seemingly came out of nowhere. Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. That might, when we get to that scene, I'm going to be real with you. I don't think that scene holds up. Disney does this thing where they just throw in something in the 90s that's just totally left field. It kind of reminds me of the Blank Check movie that I reviewed with Stu and Smith, where you had this little kid, Preston, and supposed to be this 30-year-old woman tells him and kisses him on the lips. He goes, "I'll see you in about 10 years. Make it 6." And I'm like, no.
That's actually kind of funny. I mean, if it's a kid saying that, then it's funny because they don't know any better. But
no, but it's also kind of cringy though too, because of the age of the woman.
And cringy.
Right. But with this one, you have women rubbing on Henry's chest. I'm doing his tie like Ray Charles, because Ray Charles used to do that in the 90s.
Right. I'm thinking that there's something, that you would see in a TV commercial. I didn't mind them showing him, trying to do a TV commercial, because that's something that they did with athletes a lot. They're still doing that with athletes. So it's I don't think that was a big deal. It didn't seem to come out of nowhere because they're talking about endorsements earlier in the film. So you can kind of see it leading to that. I think what's more of a sudden thing was that it seemed like he had fans even before he even debuted, right? Even before he could people could see that
everybody's chanting his name.
Yeah, they're already chanting his name instead of asking who this kid is, right? So I think that came out of nowhere. That's a little bit premature, but them escalating it to him going on these endorsement deals with commercials. I thought they was going to show him doing more endorsement deals, but they only showed the one where he's doing with Pepsi, and they alluded to the other ones that he was supposed to do. But I think they did the Pepsi commercial thing to lead up with him having a fallout with his friends, because he had scheduled to help his friends put a boat together, and he wasn't there, and so he has a fight with his friends. They have a fallout. That whole thing with him having a fallout with his friends and then making up with his friends, that seemed a little too formulaic. It
seemed like very quick.
Right. It seemed like they felt like they had to put it in this movie because it's that type of movie. It's like, so if we're going to do this kids movie, we got to have this moment in the movie. We got to color by the numbers. And I thought that was a little too much the way they had done that. But it didn't like destroy the movie. It wasn't overly bad, but it was. And then I kind of like how they resolved the conflict later on with the boat and everything.
Right. I do agree with that, though. I do think that, it was rushed a little bit. Yeah. It's like, okay, let's have this confrontation between Henry and his friends, and then let's make them make up later on.
Right.
But at the same time, though, Henry's not really doing anything wrong. It's just, the position that he's in, where he has to do these endorsement deals because it's part of his contract. And don't forget, Henry was also late. He was fined $500 before. So imagine not doing the Pepsi commercial and getting fined for that. But he also didn't do a photo shoot either.
Right.
And I'm like, did you not get fined for that? Because that was also part of your contract.
I think that as far as getting fined for not showing up for practice, that's more of a baseball thing. But as far as like not showing up for commercial, I don't know if that would incur a fine. And maybe the reason that he didn't show up because he knew he wasn't going to be fined for not showing up for a commercial, because that's up to at that point, it's up to the producers of the commercial. I don't think it's up to like the baseball club whether he would get fined for not showing up. But I'm not privy to those contracts, so I don't know.
Same here. It all depends on the contract and how it's laid out.
Right. But I think that as far as when he was doing those like photo shoots and commercials and him breaking up with his friends, I think that if they the thing about it is like they couldn't have the movie be too long, right? So that's one of the reasons that it was super quick. But if they somehow showed some kind of way with him and his friends breaking up over his obligations of being a baseball player and him not seeing his friends, and them slowly showing his friends being dissatisfied with not having their friendship be reaffirmed by like doing stuff together, then the fight that eventually broke out between Henry and his friends, I think that would have worked a little bit better. But like you say, it's really quick. It happens suddenly. So it felt formulaic because it happened so quickly.
Right. And I think it's the whole fact of like us guys, we can get into fist fights with our friends, and then the next day we make up. Like it didn't
Yeah,
even
yeah,
happen.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, we can do that.
But the Cubs are winning. Henry is growing in pitching success and fame. His personal life becomes strained as his friends grow jealous, like we mentioned. And Mary breaks up with Jack, and he tricks her into signing a contract that will send Harry to New York Yankees. Henry resolves the conflict with his friends, and team owner Bob Carson explains he never authorized the deal with the Yankees and wants to retain Henry. Disappointed that Henry will retire at the end of the season, Carson respects Henry's decision and demotes Fisher down to the hot dog vendor after learning he tried to set up the deal. So the whole reason why Jack wanted this that even happen is because of the fact Chet Stedman is making moves on Mary. Mary likes Chet and
I
everything.
don't even I don't even think Chet is really making moves on Murray.
No. He's just being friendly.
He's just
offering
being
a
friendly.
ride in
That's
his
all
limo.
he's doing. Maybe I think that Mary is getting really taken by Chet, and
He
with
is
Chet just being friendly.
because even on the dance floor, right? And I don't know why a kid that's underage is at this bar, but here we are.
Right.
But you have Daniel Stern who's over there saying, "All right, son, you're gonna have to learn one of these days, ladies." And then he moves the ladies aside to the pinball machine.
Well, here's the thing. Here's what made it really funny. He said, you got to learn one of these days. And then they march towards these two beautiful ladies. And I'm thinking, this kid doesn't need to be with these ladies. And it's like, excuse me, ladies. And they're saying, and they just stand there because they think they're about to have a conversation. And then that's when he does an arm motion and moves them out of the way. And he says, excuse me, ladies. And they move out the way. And there's a pinball machine behind them. And he was talking about playing this pinball machine. And that was the funniest bit in the whole movie. I really liked that part. It was great misdirection. It was a great bit. I like that a lot. That was one of the laugh out loud moments for me for this movie. But at the same time, yeah, Chet is just being friendly and charming, and Mary is being taken by this charm and wit, and it's like a dude that's like, he's kind of upset that he's losing his touch, he's losing his skill, that the thing that he was famed for. His nickname was the Rocket, and he doesn't want to even be called the Rocket anymore because he can't throw the ball as hard and as fast as he used to. He knows that he's washed up and that he's going to have to retire soon. But in the face of all of that, he's able to be charming to this kid's mother that is going to replace him. Like, that's the last person that he wants to be really all that associated with, because I think it's a reminder of his own mortality, a reminder of his retirement. So he's not trying to make moves on Chet's mom, but that's what's going on inside of Jack's mind. That's all Jack can see. You can see
Henry's mom. Yeah.
yeah, Henry's mom. I mean, and but you can see him like just sitting at the bar, just fuming because Chet is a baseball player. I think Chet is what Jack always wanted to be.
He's threatened by him. He's threatened by Chet because number one, he's got money. Chet's got money. He's also not only that, but he's afraid that if he's moved off to the side because of Chet, he doesn't get no endorsement deals anymore.
Right.
He doesn't get anything that for Henry anymore. Chet is now going to be number one, and he's going to be number 0 because he's going to be out, and he sees him as a threat because he's jealous of him. And also, too, I like how Henry's okay with Chet and playing this music in the limo and stuff.
Right.
Because he wants Chet to be the boyfriend that Mary deserves, while Jack is not the person that Mary deserves. But I really love that moment between them. And then Chet is over there dancing on the dance floor. And this is when the slime ball says, if you go ahead and move him out of here. He'll be we'll go ahead and move Henry out of New York. You get like 2% of what he makes, which would
It's
be like
10%.
10% of what he makes. Thank you. And it could be worth about what, 2 million, I think, or something like that, or 10 million.
Yeah.
And then he goes, okay, that's fine, but I want Chet gone. I'm like, why would you want Chet gone when you already moved Henry and Mary out of the whole entire state?
Oh, this is just revenge at this point.
Right. That's just icing on the cake.
Right. And at the same time, he's not like he's going, like, if Chet, I think, is just jealous of what you call it. He's not Chet. I'm getting the names mixed up. Jack is jealous of Chet, and that's a motivation for getting him kicked off the team. And the other thing is, Jack shouldn't feel threatened by Chet, because it's like he is Henry's manager. Jack is Henry's manager. So even if, like, he broke up with he broke up with Henry's mom, Jack would still be Henry's manager.
Exactly. So it wouldn't matter.
Right. So it shouldn't matter. But I think that he still feels threatened. He still feels that he would somehow lose Henry. Maybe Henry would fire him as a manager and hire Chet. Maybe he sees that happening.
Either way it goes, Chet lives rent free in Jack's head.
Right. So, and then where he cooks up a scheme where he's going to he's going to find a way to sell Henry to the Yankees or whatever, because the Yankees made an offer for $20 million or some crazy amount, and then didn't want to tell. See, that's where he does his heel turn. It's not necessarily him being jealous, but him deciding that he's going to deceive Henry's mom so that she can so that they can move to New York, right? And that's when he basically fails. That's where he descends into madness. That's where it all goes down. Like, as long as, like, feeling jealous is one thing, but then acting on those jealous feelings is basically what made Jack a villain.
I can see that. Let's see here too. Wayne's perspective says Henry's mom signing the contract without reading or asking any probing questions was odd, for the lack of a better word. I think it's the fact that, number one, she was exhausted, because it was also, number one, how many takes did Henry have to do for that Pepsi commercial? So she's tired. She's been there all day. So Jack actually got her in a vulnerable state to where he could sign the contract. So she can sign the contract. And he also says, how do you feel about New York? He goes, what? What do you mean? Never mind. Can you sign the contract? So she signs the contract without even looking. She also trusts Jack, which is a big mistake. But, that should have been a red flag, though, for her to say, wait, this guy's talking about New York, and I'm also being presented with a contract that's been drawn up by Fish. Something's off. But because of the fact that I think she's overly exhausted, because of the fact that Henry had to do several takes of that Pepsi commercial, and Jack got her in that vulnerable state, that's what made her just go ahead and sign it.
Yeah. And it's like I said, there's no reason for her not to trust him, because she's known him for a while. They're supposed to be in love or whatever. And he up to that point, he had not done anything to harm their family. He didn't do anything to harm Henry. He didn't do anything to harm her. As far as she's concerned, they're still together. And when he lies to her, she asks, what is this? She's like, oh, it's just something for his contract. It was like, and so he's not being forthright with what he's signing, which is why she signs it. It's a combination of her being tired. It's a combination of her being in the, like you say, in the Pepsi commercial, doing a bunch of takes, and her implicitly trusting this dude that she's known for. I mean, like, when we meet them, they're having their 3-week anniversary, and he's showering her with expensive gifts. But, like, later on, he's it's probably been a couple of months now, right, of them being together. So as far as she's concerned, he hasn't done anything that warrants a second look or a side eye, right? Only when he made that comment about New York, but then she had already signed a contract, so that was just an aside. I guess he was just checking her temperature or whatever. But I think that's just kind of like a diagnostic of how the people who are closer to you can turn on you when you least expect it.
I agree. Let's see here. Angels in the Outfield is better. Mighty Ducks. Yeah, like I would have to just say that movies are subjective, and I'm glad that you like those movies. But I might actually do a review on some of those as well. So let's go on ahead. So we also have this one part where Mary breaks up with Jack, and we have this part where Mary just punches him out the door because of the stuff that Jack said about Henry. She doesn't even know who your dad is. Probably, you need to listen to me. I'm your manager. I'm just and stuff. So I just think that was just a ball bag move on Jack to even say anything like that. Henry has no reason to even listen to him or anything. But I like how Mary comes back around. Just get out now. Get away from my son. You have no right to talk to my son that way. And she punches him. And then she tells Henry, I need to tell you about your dad. Because I already know. My grandma already told me that dad left. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, that was a good moment. That's like when she finds out she rejects Jack immediately and puts Jack out of her life. So that was a great moment because he's like he done blows up the whole thing because it's like she was going to find out anyway that they're what you call it, he basically moved the family to New York without asking her about it, right?
Right.
And so she gets real upset. And then I think that what really set her off is that apparently she at some point in time confided into Jack about Henry's parentage, like about their father leaving, and she concocting the story about who his father was, and
right,
and then Jack spilling the secret to Henry, and it wasn't his place to tell. It was something that he was told in confidence. So I think that's another thing that really set her off and punched him out, basically punched him right out of the house.
Right, because that wasn't his story to tell her son.
Right,
that was her place to tell her son when the time was right. He chose the wrong time and overstepped his boundaries. Is what he did. He overstepped
because he wanted to hurt them. He wanted to hurt both of them, like because he's feeling angry and jealous. Like he's feeling jealous of Chet,
right?
And he's feeling angry because I guess jealous because he has Chet has an adoration. What's the word I'm trying to look for? Because Chet likes the kid and the kid likes Chet, and he doesn't have that relationship. So I think that's another.
He's even more
jealous
because of that, right?
Right. Because even though Chet had brought all of this, fame and fortune to the family, the kid is not really taken to. I mean, not Chet, but I meant Jack. Jack had brought all this fame and fortune to the family, but the kid isn't really taken by Jack. It was like he likes Jack a little bit more, but not as much as he likes Chet. So Jack decided that he was going to hurt that family by spilling these secrets and being devious, and that's what got him punched out. And then she's going to go and basically reveal the true lineage of his father. And I think that aspect of the story could have been built up a little bit more, because you don't really there isn't really any I don't know, any underlying story or thread that's really strong where it would feels like a big reveal, because it didn't really feel like a big reveal. It almost felt like that, maybe I don't care that much about that storyline. If it was built up a little bit more, I think that it would have had more impact, because they wanted it to have an impact, but it wasn't a strong one, when she made that reveal.
Right, because here's the thing. We only seen that one part where she throws his underarm or something like that at the the airport. And Daniel Stern's goes, she got a great arm. But that's like the only thing that we've seen that represented some type of mystery element with the baseball glove that was supposed to belong to his father. Right. So that's that little mystery element. But as far as this scene goes, is supposed to make an impact of like, way to go, mom. You sure did show, Jack. But it was just to go ahead, get him out of the way so that way we can continue on with the story and to be able to have Chet and Henry have that more bonding time together without the jealousy of Jack being in the picture. And that's what I got out of that. But even when Chet goes on ahead and, he gets the whole entire thing from this coach, hey, look, Chet, next year you're out and that's it. You're going to be retiring. And then he's pissed off, not at Henry. He's just mad at the situation. Because remember, Henry's over there playing his Game Boy when he gets the news. And he goes, come on, I'll drive you home. And I like how he gives him this talk. He goes, when you go ahead and enjoy your gift now. But when you get older, that gift is going to be gone.
Right.
And I like that moment of realization of, hey, look, enjoy your life while you can. Enjoy your youth while you can.
Right.
And enjoy your talents while you can. Because when it's gone, it's gone.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That was a nice, heartfelt moment where he was having a hard time. But I think he was kind of letting Henry know that, like, you could see that he was upset. So he wanted Henry to know that, I'm not upset about you. I'm just kind of upset about my situation over here.
Right. But then I like how Henry and his mom goes into the office of Bob's and explains he never authorized the deal with the Yankees. And it was actually Fish that did it. And he goes, well, I need to talk to my nephew for a minute.
Yeah.
And I like how he's just like, he's just looking down at the floor.
Yeah, I need to. Yeah, I'll join you down and with the audience with the rest of the crowd later. I just need to straighten out a few things because he kind of plays the bumbling fool, but he's not really a fool. He's smart about business. That's what he's smart about.
He's a smart businessman.
Right. So he trusts his nephew to run the business, and then basically the nephew is doing stuff behind his back. So now he has to right the ship. So that was pretty clever. It was funny.
But I like the fact that, Henry's like putting his needs before the team. Like, hey, look, I enjoyed my time here. I got to play in the big leagues. I need to go on ahead and concentrate on school and what I want to do for the rest of my life. And that's it. So I like that. Then we actually have on the last day of the season, the Cubs face the Mets again at Wrigley Field. Stedman's starting. If the Cubs triumph, they win the division and move on to the World Series. Chet, the Rocket Man Stedman, pitches his best game in years, but he injures his arms on the last pitch. The ball is hit to Stedman, who cannot throw to home plate because his arm hurts. He runs home and dives to tag the runner out at home, keeping the Cubs in the lead. He turns the ball over to Henry, who easily strikes out the side of the 7th and 8th innings. At the top of the 9th, Henry slips on a baseball, reversing the effects of the first fall and reducing his arm strength to normal. So we have a lot to unpack with this. So, but I like how Chet is actually having his moment of now being able to play in this event that he's been working himself on. So if it wasn't for Henry, Chet would not have been there. It would still been losing. They wouldn't have the fans because of Henry. So now it's like this mutual respect between Henry and him. Hey, look, I made it here because of Henry and the team. So if it wasn't for Henry, I wouldn't be here.
Right.
I like how he's playing the best game of his life. He's on top of the world. He's got people on his side, and then everything's going good. And then you also have Daniel Stern's character, who's also locked down in the whole entire dugout area.
Right.
Who was locked in that cage for tobacco. When Henry slipped on that ball in the game and his arm went back to normal, I was devastated. I was too as a kid because I'm like, oh no, not this. Because I remember me as a kid going to see it in theaters. I remember every kid going, oh no. It was like an echo through the whole entire theater. Of everybody, all the kids going, oh no, what's going to happen now? And we're just as panicked as Henry is because we don't know what's going to happen.
Right. I think that was probably one of the most clever parts of the story. That was because I was not expecting that. And so, and maybe I should have, but I had no idea that was going to happen, and that was shocking, and that was actually a pretty cool thing. And so, this is what I was alluding to earlier, where, you know, he's not. I don't think that he's a bad baseball player. He's just a little clumsy, because even though he can't throw like 100-mile-per-hour pitch anymore, what he has done is that he devised a clever way where they could eke out a win, right? He is like, instead of using actual physical strength, they were going to use guile and trickery, right? They were going to,
and I like how he does it too.
Yeah. They were going to figure out a way to get out of being in trouble. And then he faces his nemesis, the giant baseball player with the huge arms.
He goes, "Oh no, Kato!"
Right. And then he's almost out of tricks, and his mom gives him like one more trick where to throw I guess she calls it a floater, and the dude isn't able to hit it because he specializes in hitting fastballs. And then they're able to, strike him out.
Right. And he was able to get a strikeout because the first time it was a foul ball. And then after that, he managed to strike him out on that underpass that his mom told him to do.
Right. I forgot what he did the second time. He did something the second. I guess it was like a regular strike. He just he was just able to get a regular strike with his regular arm.
It's like, and you know what? It's like the metaphor that Chet used. Like, once your gift is gone, it's gone.
Right.
It says Henry's gift for his arm is gone. And now he has to figure out a strength of his own will to be able to strike this guy out.
Right. But also the other tricks where he does a hidden baseball trick where he pretends to have the baseball and is actually another player. I have no idea if that's legal in baseball, but it was fun to watch. And then the other trick where I forgot what the other trick was.
I forgot that other trick as well. Wayne, I know that you probably know what the other trick is if you don't mind coming into the chat and everything, talking about it.
Yeah, he did something where he
did the hidden ball trick. He also did another trick, and I can't remember it. But
right.
Wayne says it was. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying it was. I remember it was smart and clever, but also equally suspicious as whether or not it was legal.
Let's see here. We also have something else that Wayne said. The moment when Henry says, "Oh no, it's gone," that's when it hits you. Yep. That's how when that. Let's see here. But I also like the quotes that John Candy says though too. Because this one's for all the Megla, for all the whole kitchen caboodle, for the whole bowl of wax. This is for all the marbles, the Cubs in the World Series. So I also liked how he says, "I just figured out why the Cubs lose every year. They got more talent in the stands than they do on the field."
Oh yeah, that was at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, well, that's going to bring Rockets' earned run average to about 300 or so, which equals the attendance here today. What a team. But the quotes is just great for John Candy. But then we have Henry, who's frustrated with the Cubs and their fans by intentionally walking the first batter. He explains to his teammates why they can no longer throw fastball, why you can no longer can do it, and sends them back to their positions and with a plan. With their cooperation, Henry sneaks the ball to the first baseman, who tags the runner out. Henry walks the next batter, with whom he trades insults. So that's what he does. He insults the guy.
Right.
When the runner dares him to throw the ball high.
Right. He he's taunting the runner or the batter that's on base. The batter's on first base, and he keeps taunting him. And miraculously, like what happens is that he's pretending that he's being careless with the ball, and then the batter who's at base says, like, "Throw the ball up one more time," and so Henry pretends to throw the ball up, and the batter on first base starts running, and then Henry chases him down and is able to tag him out, which is a miracle because, again, he's a little kid, should not be as fast as a baseball professional player, right? He shouldn't be.
Right, exactly.
But he does catch up with him and tags him out. Like you would expect that he would just throw the ball to the second baseman, but
But in the heat of the moment, you're not thinking about doing it. You're just gonna go ahead and try to run this in
right,
because he's closer to the first base and everything too. So,
right.
but Henry does so, but stops the runner, takes off for the second, and gets tagged out, setting up the final showdown between him and Hato. Henry throws a changeup, which Hato misses, and his next hit appears headed toward the bleachers, but ruled as a foul ball, like we mentioned. Henry opens his glove and to find his father's name, not his father's name, but Mary's in the stands. She signals him to throw the floater. He does and strikes out a shocked Hato, who then throws a tantrum at the home plate, winning the division title for the Cubs and head to the World Series. The next spring, Henry plays Little League again. Mary and Stedman, now a couple, are his team's coaches. After catching a potential home run ball that ensures his team's victory, Henry raises his fist to reveal a Cubs World Series championship ring, signifying his role in the Cubs World Series victory. So, what did you think of him seeing Mary's name in that glove? Because I thought that was a sweet moment of like, you know that his father was not in his life whenever she kicks Jack out. And then to know that his mother was the one who played baseball and it's just in his DNA to play baseball because of his mother, not because of his father. I thought it was a great heartfelt moment for that.
Yeah. That's when the plot had really started coming together. It was like, hold on. It looks like a fire truck. I don't know if you're going to catch that on the recording.
That's fine. But I can't do anything about a fire truck.
But anyways, when Henry discovers that it was his mom, that he was using his mom's glove the entire time, and how that affected him, and looking at her in the stand, and that's kind of like when that plot thread about who his father was, like when she was talking to him, when that had kind of came together and had more impact in that moment than the previous moment when she was doing the reveal or trying to, and Henry already knew because his grandmother told him about his father. But that was a neat moment. I really like that.
But yeah, and then we know that Chet and her are now a couple. They're a coach for Henry. I think it tied up very good. I think they managed to basically tell the story that they wanted to tell. I thought that they wrapped it up nicely. I don't think anything was really rushed with the ending or anything like that. You're in and out in 90 minutes. And so now that we talked about this non-nostalgically, I know that you're an NA for the nostalgia part. But how do you feel about it now that you watched this for the first time?
Right. I think this is about a 6 out of 10 for me. It was a pretty nice movie. Like, I would not have chosen to watch this movie, but being a chance to be a guest on the show, I was like, yes, of course I'm going to watch this. I knew that you probably had a lot of nostalgia for this because this looks like a movie that you would probably watch when you were a child.
I definitely did. More ways than I can count, to be honest with you. I had this on VHS and stuff. I remember going to the theater. I remember this just being one of my favorite baseball movies that I got to see as a kid. But yeah. And yeah, I got to see this in the movie theater for the very first time as well with my mom. When I was in Boston during the summertime.
Right.
So, but for me, I like this movie. I don't think there's anything really wrong with it. There's nothing really that doesn't really age well or anything. On nostalgia, it's a 10 out of 10 for me. Overall, I give it an 8 point. Okay, yeah. So Wayne's perspective is giving it an 8.5 out of 10. Okay, that's pretty good. For me, on the other hand, I still like this movie. I'm not going to give it like a 9.9 out of 10 for me. Even though that's nostalgia, I'm gonna have to give this at least a 7.5 out of 10 because I like this movie. I love it. But am I gonna go back and rewatch this movie again? No. But if it's on and everything, I'm gonna watch it because of the fact that it has some attachment to me through my childhood. I mean, just remembering watching a movie with my mom and making her suffer through a 90-minute movie that I actually loved. But
so you say that she had to suffer through it. So did she generally not like the movie, or did she like it? Or do you have a gauge of how she felt about it?
Okay, as a kid, I didn't have a clue.
Right. Of course
As I'm
not.
going through it in my head now as an adult, like through every single movie that we see, right? She goes, "So, did you enjoy that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I did, Mom. What about you?" It was good. So yeah, my mom was a big supporter of me watching movies in the '90s and stuff. Took me out to the movie theaters, and I'm very thankful for that.
That's pretty awesome.
Thank you. Let's see here. Skylake says he likes the actor. He was in American Pie. I forgot that he played Kevin in American Pie. Okay.
Are you
I like
talking
the
about the what you call it? What's his name? Thomas? The guy who played Henry?
Yeah, the guy who played Henry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I forgot he played Kevin in that. Yeah, Thomas Ian Nichols. He played Kevin in American Pie.
Okay.
I forgot about that. He also played a kid in King Arthur's Court right after this movie as well. So that's another 90s movie that I got to see in theaters as well.
Right.
But yeah, all in all, I'm glad that you guys voted for this movie on our YouTube channel. And matter of fact, we're going to try and do another voting probably next month for another movie. So go on and stay tuned for that. But I have some good news for you guys. So I have Josh Prey coming in next month, and we're going to be doing Who Asked for This? So it's about spin-off movies, sequels, you name it. Who asked for this? Why did we need this nonsense? So we're going to be talking about that. Rossie will be on the show with me for that one. And that's going to be on October 6th at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time for that. And October 15th, Rossie's going to be back for their gaming segment. So if you're into video games or anything like that, go ahead and check her out live on that. But Zoe, what kind of episodes and stuff like that can people look forward to on Backlook Cinema?
On Backlook Cinema, the next episode that I'll be doing is Once Bitten. And I'm kind of waffling on whether or not I should actually even do that movie, because I knew that there were some problematic moments in it. There's some parts of it that didn't age well, but it was one of Jim Carrey's first movies. It's like he did this movie before he did In Living Color, and he's fantastic in it. And I remember watching this movie over and over again. So I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and watch this movie, and I'm gonna do it for the podcast. So that's the next movie that I've got coming up.
Okay. Well, guys, another thing too is next month Rossie will be joining me again, but we're going to be doing the movie Weapons. So I did a non-spoiler review on the YouTube channel for that. So go in and check out that review. And that's not going to be on the audio podcast for the non-spoiler review for Weapons, but Rossie will be back with me for a spoiler review for Weapons for that. Oh man, I haven't seen Once Bitten in a long time. I haven't seen that movie at all, to be honest with you. I might need to check that one out. So, well, I just want to thank everybody who talked in the comment section. Thank you for Wayne's perspective once again for following us, subscribing to the channel, and just commenting on every single video that we have. Thank you for being a big supporter of that. Skylight Pro Cinema, thank you for commenting as well. I mean, disagree with some of your takes, but still, thank you overall for your support as well. And that's going to be it as far as this show goes. I hope that you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe button. Don't forget to visit my good friend Zoe from the Backlook Cinema podcast and all the marbles and every single thing that we do here. Have a great and safe day, and bye, guys.